Hi, I'm Aimee, the founder of Odd Muse, and I'm here today to answer some of your questions.
Typical day, how many hours do you work in a day?
Too many. How do I answer this? Like, oh my God, I don't stop. I have about 500 jobs. So I had a full-time job and a side hustle. My side hustle is now my full-time job, and now I just work all day, every single day, but I absolutely love it.
Advice about starting out low budget.
So it's important to understand that you can start before you necessarily have the whole budget ready. I wanted to do this so long ago, but I didn't have the money to do it. So I spent like the last 2 years prior to launching working on my brand story, my brand name, my branding, my website, rough sketches of designs, finding my manufacturing. There's so many things you can do before you even have to spend any money. So I think that's probably the biggest bit of advice. Don't rush and feel like you have to make it work with the money you have. Just get started on, your time is free, perfect your idea, and then sort of weigh out sort of what budget you have when you have everything in place.
How do you build a successful customer base?
I need to think about this answer. What is a good answer to this question? I think the way I have done it is through being really transparent with myself. I've really put myself out there. I haven't tried to, create this illusion. I'm really not trying to make it look more than what it is, and I think my customers have really seen like an authenticity in that. I regularly sort of come on my Instagram and speak to my customers, and I feel like that way you build more of a community with your followers and potential customers. So I would really recommend going down sort of like a personal branding sort of route. I have watched many podcasts in the past that have kind of told you not to really do that, but I think in this sort of time, a lot of people are interested in that story, so I think that's definitely how I have built a successful customer base and how I would recommend to others.
How do you stay focused?
How do I stay focused? So naturally, I am so passionate about what I do, so Odd Muse has become sort of my life. It's what I wake up and think about, it's what I go to bed thinking about. But obviously, like, I do have them days, and I think you've always just got to remind yourself what you're working towards. Like, you should always be working towards something. Like, no one should ever feel like they've made it. There's always improvements to be made and more to be done, and it's really important to keep yourself organised and create sort of like a working environment that you feel comfortable in, and yeah, that's how I stay focused.
Where do you get inspiration from for your next collection?
So where do I get inspiration from? Odd Muse is sort of very inspired by classic reoccurring trends, sort of like the blazer, the little black dress, like all these sort of trends that have survived the test of time. And then I like to put my sort of own twist on it. So with the blazer, we've done the sleeves and the belts, and also a massive part of what we do is sort of in our selection of fabrics. So we will pick like a classic shape, but I think the fabrics that we use really speak for themselves. So another big thing that I get inspiration from is actually fabric. So I will go out and select different fabrics, and I'll feel all these fabrics, and we're really inspired by like high quality, and immediately like one swatch can give me so much inspiration into what can I make out of this one swatch. It's literally just classic sort of styles that survive the test of time, high quality fabrics. It's not necessarily a situation where I sit there and research different up and coming trends, because I always pride Odd Muse on being quite a seasonless brand. Our biggest thing is sort of investment fashion at a high quality, so I am inspired by them things. So to Odd Muse, we're inspired by sort of that being current but being classic, and it's gonna be in your wardrobe next year. You're gonna wear it the year after. That is like our main goal. When I am designing, I'm not thinking about what's in right now. I'm thinking what has carried through for all these years and what's gonna survive the next 10 years.
How do you market your business? What tactics have you found successful?
Right, okay. How do I market my business? Obviously, social media is a massive part, especially in fashion. It's just, gives you such an opportunity to really showcase your work. Through Instagram, we have had amazing opportunities. We've been picked up by influencers such as Lorna Lux, which was such a massive moment for the brand. We were contacted by Vogue, so I think Instagram's been a massive, massive part of that. And it's not just necessarily having an Instagram account. We put a lot of work into the content we post, the layout. As soon as you click through onto our Instagram, there's so much that goes into it, and it's important to understand, yeah, it's not just about having a social media account. On a more technical term of things, I very much feel like I find a lot of new customers through Instagram and Facebook ads and Google ads, sort of things like that. It's really, really worth looking into them because there's so many online free courses that will educate you so much on things like Instagram ads, Facebook ads. You can put as little as £3 a day onto your page, which is literally like your morning coffee. It's more about appearing again and again to one person. So I will put a small amount per day across 30 days, and eventually it might take a customer 2 weeks to 3 weeks to actually convert and come on my site and buy something, but it's more about coming up on that one person's page than it is coming up on a million different people's page. It is sort of proven that customers need to be touched 27 times before they purchase something. So it's about just always coming up to them people. With Instagram as well, I think it's really important to sort of adapt to new trends, like Reels and even TikToks are just such a big thing. Like, that's what I'm definitely sort of challenging myself to try out now. I think fresh content is really important. It's also important to feel like, don't just feel the need to post something, make sure the content is good and it shows off your piece, and ask yourself, is this photo good enough? So it's important to understand sort of like the new trends that come up with Instagram. You're always going to get pushed to the explore page if you are sort of working with that algorithm, keeping up with the trends. It's really good to have fresh content. Posting sort of the same photos all the time isn't necessarily gonna help you grow as much as sort of fresh new content would. Interacting with your customers, posting at the right time. It's really important to understand how your followers work, what times are best for you, what content's best for you. I know that I get the most likes and follows when I post a photo of the blazer, so we make sure that 3-4 times a week a fresh new photo of the blazer styled in a different way is on the Instagram page. It's really important to understand what your followers want. With marketing as well, it's really important to try new things, and going back to what I said about Instagram ads, it's that sort of idea of just constantly coming up. So, you know, I send out emails, I make sure my website's always up to date, I do Google ads. As we grow, we're looking at sort of advertising in billboards once the pandemic's open. It's about growing your marketing and trying new things all the time. And if one thing doesn't work for you, that's absolutely fine. Don't just give up on it. Ask yourself why. When I first started doing my email marketing, I wasn't getting many clicks. Some people were unsubscribing. I put a lot of time into understanding what was wrong. I knew that my emails needed to be a lot more sleeker and on par with brands that I really associate myself with. So I changed that, and that is what marketing is all about. You adapt to whatever works for you.
So what is one of your favourite products from Odd Muse?
One of my favourite products, obviously the blazer, but one of my favourite, probably the favourite product that I've done is my 2021 business planner. It was sort of a product that no one really sort of expected me to come out with, but I speak a lot about how passionate I am about sort of inspiring others in business. So this was such a goal of mine and I'm really proud of it.
What is one word in fashion that you wish people would stop saying?
Not necessarily a word, but I hate trends. I think trends encourage sort of this throwaway fashion culture, which is exactly what Odd Muse is trying to challenge. I don't like the idea of looking back on photos like in 5 years' time and hating what I'm wearing. So Odd Muse is sort of all about investment fashion and classic pieces. So yeah, I wish people would stop following trends.
What is your favourite styling season in London?
My favourite styling season has got to be spring, but of course Odd Muse is a seasonless brand. The way we sort of style our pieces and design our pieces is sort of in a way that they do translate into across all seasons. So yeah, my favourite season is spring, but for styling, Odd Muse is completely seasonless.
What would you never ever wear?
Fast fashion.
What is the best part about your job?
Interacting with my customers.
What is the most surprising thing that's happened to you since you launched Odd Muse?
Ooh, probably the response since September. It's just been beyond anything that I could have ever imagined, and I'm so grateful for it.
Have you got anything new coming to Odd Muse this year?
We have a really exciting collection coming very, very soon. It is all based around the best-selling blazer. We have, I don't want to say too much, but a lot of designs to accompany your Odd Muse blazer.
How do you find good models and photographers for shoots?
So I would go purely off recommendations. You can find recommendations on Instagram, Facebook, any social media. I think it's like peace of mind knowing that someone has used this person before and they've been recommended. In terms of models, since we launched, I have just used myself purely as a way at the beginning of having a low budget. I've definitely gone down more of a personal branding route, but yeah.
What jobs did you have pre-Odd Muse?
So my first ever job was at House of Fraser. I was just a sales assistant while I was at college and university, and then during university I got into sort of graphic design, and that's how I was able to sort of do all my own branding for Odd Muse. And then right before Odd Muse, probably the sort of turning point for me was when I worked at ASOS as a fashion buyer's assistant, and now I work for myself.
How do you start an online fashion business?
So obviously a huge question. There's probably so many answers to this question, but I think at the beginning it's really important to truly establish yourself and who your brand is, what sort of makes you different, your unique selling point, all these sort of things, weigh out who your competitor is. It's really important to have that strong brand awareness and brand identity before launching an online fashion business. Obviously we live in a time where there's so many online fashion business, so it's all about being competitive and having that point of difference.
Where do you see Odd Muse in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, I would like to have a warehouse overseas. I have a lot of international customers, especially at this time while the UK is on lockdown. A lot of my business is overseas, so I would like to streamline that delivery process for my international customers. Obviously, if I had a warehouse in Europe or Dubai, a lot of my customers are in Dubai, I'd like to offer them like next day delivery without custom charges and things like that. So I think my main goal is streamlining the process for my international customers.
In what department stores could you see Odd Muse being stocked?
So I feel like I am very precious about where Odd Muse will sort of stock one day. Obviously it's quite important for me to think about if I want to sort of cater to that international customer, but here in the UK I would absolutely love to feature in Selfridges. They are a massive dream of mine. They are probably like the number one. I would really love to be sort of in that Selfridges and Harrods sort of realm. They're my sort of top two. Thank you so much for watching the Q&A. I hope this answered some of your questions. We regularly do things like this on our Instagram, so please follow us on Odd Muse London for more. Thank you very much.